Okay. Okay. So my name's Alex Faber. I'm the part-time executive director for the Superior Rivers Watershed Association, and I'm officially a little over 4 months into the job. So I will be the first person to admit that I do not have a background in natural resources. So a lot of the technical details of things, I might not be able to ask or answer people's questions, but I can at least kind of talk on them or point you in the right direction. I'm still definitely trying to wrap my head around some things. So I think most of you are semi-familiar with the organization. Some of you have actually worked at us, but we used to be the Bad River Watershed Association. We were founded in 2002 by a group of concerned citizens, volunteers, working professionals, League of Women Voter members, a lot of people that were really concerned about water quality in the Bad River and the fact that at that point in time, there was not really real information about water quality that was publicly available. So this group of concerned citizens had no idea if the waters were in good shape or they in bad shape. There's just no information. So they banded together to create a group of people to conduct water quality monitoring on the Bad River and its sub-watersheds. In 2015, 2016, we expanded outside of the Bad River to include Fish Creek, the Montreal River, up the peninsula ways to be able to represent our broader group of volunteers and supporters. And then in 2017, we therefore renamed to be the Superior Rivers Watershed Association to reflect that bigger service area. Our mission is to promote and protect clean water resources in Wisconsin's Lake Superior Basin. We definitely take this as more of a citizen and volunteer-focused direction. Our work is guided by our commitment to expanding scientific understanding, engaging citizens and volunteers, being able to give people informed decision-making power with the information that we do and we create, and trying to facilitate collaborative efforts with the groups in the area. And we envision a future in which citizens are stewards of their watershed through these actions. Our current programs, we are still doing our water quality monitoring program, which is our flagship program that we've been doing since 2002. We currently have, well, most of our water quality monitoring is done by volunteers. We have a part-time volunteer coordinator who follows up and manages these dozens of volunteers. And we currently have monthly water quality chemistry monitoring. I don't entirely understand what is involved in this process, but if people had questions, I have a small list of chemistry things that I'm aware that we monitor for. And then we twice a year monitor for macroinvertebrates at various sites. And we're about to hit our macroinvertebrate monitoring season from October 10th to the 23rd. And we have training sessions coming up for our volunteers. We also have been doing watershed restoration since not long into our formation, primarily focusing on culvert restoration. To date, we have 25 culvert projects that have been completed, primarily through collaborative efforts with local partners. And right now, we just completed our last culvert project. So we're right now working on a cooperative tree planting project with the Forest Service and Wisconsin DNR. We planted over 240,000 tree seedlings on over 150 acres. And as of 2020, we are spraying them with deer repellent to keep them actually in the ground so the deer don't eat them all. We also participate in education and outreach. This year that got a little weirder, but we do normally participate in the Rivers to Lake program. We have a hired staff member who is the coordinator for this program, creates a curriculum, I guess, for teachers to be able to do in their classrooms. This year that got weird with COVID, and so that's on pause. But we partner with the Lake Superior National Estuarine Research Reserve. That's a long phrase to do this. I almost got it. Thanks, Erin. So yeah, that's on pause, but that's a good portion of what we like to do when there's not a pandemic happening. Where we're headed, things that we're currently working on, moving towards. We are actively seeking partnership wild and scenic designation for the Bad River. This is kind of a 3-step process. We're at the very beginning phases of getting support through the municipalities. We've gotten support from most of the municipal bodies on the river. And we have a committee that's working on expanding to public support, trying to bring a positive light here. And then that ends up going through Congress, I believe, to get approved for a study. I'm not as familiar with this process as I should be, but we're at the very beginning phases of trying to get this moving forward. And the partnership wild and scenic designation is different than the actual wild and scenic designation that most people are familiar with. So partnership doesn't have the regulatory processes that a regular wild and scenic designation would have. So we're hoping that it'll get a lot more support because it won't be affecting people's actual ability to do what they need to with their land. It's helping to be able to fund monitoring and action plans and try to keep a designated group active in this. Water quality data we're also working on. So my passion project, I'm not really involved in the sciences. I would consider myself a layperson in terms of understanding water quality data. So my big thing getting onto the organization and trying to understand what we do is trying to get our data in a more accessible format for the public. We just got a grant through the Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin to be able to try to put our 18 years of water quality data into more consumable report cards. We used to make these once upon a time, and just trying to get the information into a format that normal people like me, I could read. And as a volunteer, I can go out and help sample little organisms in the streams and then read a report card a little while later and understand what it was that I helped to participate in and what kind of health do we have in our streams. And then I can become an informed steward of my own watershed. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that. In correlation with that, I'm also trying to get a lot of this information onto our website and be able to actually have a tool for our local citizens to be able to find this information, or we can direct people in other directions for where other people have this information as well. Trying to make all of our information more accessible to the general public. Longer term, Superior Rivers Watershed Association, back when we were the Bad River Watershed Association, was one of the partners involved in making the Marengo River Watershed Action Plan. Val was one of the people involved in this project and probably knows way more about it than I do. I will admit that I have not read it yet. It is a 200-page document, a really awesome action plan for overseeing the Marengo River watershed and its impaired state. And I know that things have changed a lot since it was published and approved in 2013. Got a lot of floods. It expires in a couple years, so one of the things that we want to focus on is trying to pull together all these partners. There's a huge list of partners involved. This is going to be a big process to get this renewed and up to date and take into account all of the work that's been done ever since then. That's what I got. I don't know all the technicals of a lot of what we do quite yet. I'm trying to get there, but anyone could email Kevin or Mariana. They're fantastic and they know a lot of the details. Kevin does a lot of our restoration work and Mariana does our water quality work. And I can do my best to answer questions.